Hey everyone, welcome back to our podcast called GetIN, an investigative journalism podcast where we dig into the hidden stories behind the scenes of journalism. And I'm Sharon, and this is my partner Xiang.
Hi.
And we are excited to give you a in-depth look into the world of investigative journalism. And Xiang, let me tell you, today we have a wonderful guest, a renowned journalist. I'm so humbled and honored to have him with us today. And you know something? He has revealed so many scandals and controversies in the country. He's got more than 50 years of journalism in his bag. He's a journalist. He was an editor. He is a writer. He's written some fabulous books, and he's also a mentor. So please welcome Nades.
I can't wait to hear his stories and maybe some secrets.
Yes, and people know him as Citizen Nades because he's revealed so many things to the citizens of this country.
Wow.
So without wasting time, let's ask him the difficult question.
Sure. Right. Nadis, I truly salute what you did, You have done something that most people wouldn't dare to do. And one of the biggest political scandals that you've covered is 1MDB, right? I guess everyone know this. And I just want to know, what gave you the courage, to expose such a big political scandals, especially one involving the prime ministers?
Yeah.
It is actually not courage. It's a call. I'm one who believes that everyone, every citizen, every journalist has a right to question decisions made by government. And if there's something wrong, we need some answers. So there's nothing to be brave about this. You are entitled to this. Does that answer your question?
But then again, I'm sure with all these scandals and controversies, there must be some threats that you have received, right? Like when you're writing these things throughout your career.
Yeah.
Can you think of?
Yeah, if you're scared of threats, don't be a journalist. Sit at home or write fashion, food, right? Do record reviews. Now, if you want to do good, honest journalism, you must put those perceived threats behind you and do your work.
But when in your perspective, when you say threats, right? A lot of journalists said, "Oh, I received threats." What is
I do not know. You see, the only threat I had was from my editors. Right? Don't write this, don't write that. But unless you stand firm against editors and tell them the importance of the story and how it's going to affect the country, and all your agenda is for a better quality of life for all citizens. You're not singling out the prime minister or the individual. You're singling out the weaknesses in the system which can be rectified so that the entire community can benefit.
Yeah, journalists are the lens through which the citizens rely for information updates. I truly agree with you. They also serve as society watchdog and the force estates, right? Monitoring the government. So we would like to know, how did you go about finding sources? I feel sources is the most important part in covering, especially political scandals.
In journalism, you're dead if you don't have sources, right? I think sources come with your credibility, with your stories, the kind of stories you write. People build a trust in you.
Right.
So the moment the trust is built, the sources start expanding themselves. I had cases of people sending me documents to the office, and those days we did not have handphone or SMS messages. They call you direct or send letters to you by post, and you pick it up from there. Or in other cases, you go for a gathering, you meet people, they talk to you. For example, when I went back to my school reunion dinner many years ago, they were talking about the Portland Free Zone. And my friends, my ex-classmates were telling me, I'm so concentrated in KLPJ, there's a big scandal in Portland Free Zone. Started the whole story. So you start looking in, and once you write your first story, information will flow automatically. Because people have the trust, right, in you that you'll be able to expose these scandals or shortcomings in the system. So sources start building up. So you get more stories coming out from that one incident.
Like, let's assume that you received a packet today with some information. What is the next thing you would do?
Just go back to the source. When I received information on Tourism Minister Ng Yan Yen, the packet, obviously it is, it was something anonymous, but there were some related documents.
Yeah.
So the best thing I did was went to Ng Yan Yen, made copies. These are I confronted her at lunch. I gave her the envelope and said, these are the documents that I've received. Can you please confirm or deny?
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I'm told by a mutual friend, it's in the book. Dr. Ling wants to have a word with Yan Yan over this. So I went there, spent the whole night, and she said everything is off the record. Instead of explaining, she was accusing this person of poisoning me. I said, that's not, we did not address the issue in these documents.
Right.
So I gave her a chance to explain. She refused. Good luck.
So if he or she refused, will you also write that in the reportings?
But in my book, you'll notice I wrote, she gave the explanations all off the record, accusing people. I cannot be reproducing her accusations. And since you said it's off the record, I never mentioned it. I mentioned we had a meeting.
Very thoughtful, right? Okay. So, because we know that we are living in this country is more on like a semi-authoritarian, or even though we call
No,
ourselves a democratic
that's
country.
what you make it out to be. It is not authoritarian yet.
Yeah,
Right.
yes.
Okay? You carry on doing. You've got to push the envelope. Right? They're not going to ask you to stop writing because you question them. Right? Already, people are questioning them for questioning us, the journalists. So what are you worried about? Unless you're writing falsehoods, defamatory articles. I don't know, if you're writing the truths and you're seeking answers, I don't think anything is wrong with that.
Coming back to asking the questions, and you are asking the hard-hitting questions to these politicians and so on. Today, we see that there is this, the younger journalists, they don't ask those hard-hitting questions. What's your take on that?
Because it is simple. The mindset, the training, mentorship, it's all important. You grow up and you're taught not to question authority.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And these guys put the fright into you. If you don't eat your food, you're a toddler, I call the policeman to come and arrest you.
Yeah.
So that fear against authority is still there. And you grow up with that. In school, don't run around, I'll send you the headmaster for caning.
Yeah.
The fear is there. Right? So once you grow up with this fear, it's inherent in you. But at a young age, you're told to stand up to authority, just to stand up for the nonsense. Then you'll be brave, you'll take on issues.
Do you feel that the younger journalists need to be trained on asking those hard-hitting questions?
No, it should come automatically. What is that to be trained? As mentors and editors, we can only tell them methodology. Go and read up first. Get all your knowledge before you go for the interview. Right? What I notice now with the present breed of journalists called handphone, and others ask the questions in their account. I think that is not journalism, what I was taught, what I learned. Okay? So coming back to this issue, the most important thing is to prepare yourself for an interview. If you're not prepared, you won't know from right hand to left hand, you won't know what's happening. Unless you're knowledgeable, then you'll be able to ask the right questions. Those days, there was no internet. We couldn't access Google or Yahoo. I used to go to the library and take those newspaper cuttings.
Right.
For example, of Malaysian Airlines. Before I go for a press conference, I read the important stories on Malaysia Airlines in the past month. So when I go there, I know what questions to ask. Exactly. Unless I go there without reading anything, I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So you must be prepared. Prepare yourself. Plan your work.
But other than preparing, right, and do research, right, because we all know that the press freedom, in the country, right? So is it also one of the factors?
What are you talking of? Press freedom. The thing is this: the press freedom is all in your mind, right? I've written so many stories, right? You think there was no freedom?
Yeah.
Right? But you must know where to draw the line. Don't get personal. Don't defame people.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on. There are safeguards within the system. I'm sure if you ask a minister, why does it cost so much to build a bridge? What's so difficult about asking that question?
Yeah.
What about telling him in the last time we did the bridge was much less? How come this time it's costing more? Isn't that a legitimate question to ask?
Yeah, I read your books. I feel that you are a very critical person. Like, just now you have also come up with a few questions like asking why.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think, would you advise or maybe do you think that being investigative journalists must have the sense, of asking questions or questioning the why?
It's not investigative journalists alone. Generally in journalism, you must have an inquisitive mind. Right? You go there with an open mind, not to be critical, not to find fault. Okay? Depending on the answers they give you, if they're giving you some rubbish, then you got to give back. Right? How do you know it's rubbish? Your research. So it's a system that we evolve in. So there's no such thing as being critical. You got to address the issue because whatever is done in the name of the government is taxpayers' money.
Yes.
Your money and my money, which they're using.
But how do you ensure that the information is reliable or credible when the authority, they don't answer the questions?
That is why you confront them. Is it true this bridge is going to cost 27 million? Why is it costing so much?
But they won't give the answer, right?
You could, in a press conference, what do you give? If they don't give an answer, refuse to comment.
Right.
Right? And then you write, it's rumored it's costing 27 million, but the minister refused to confirm or deny. Then you, as the reader reading my report, know something is fishy.
Yes.
At least I've created that information in the minds of the reader.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes us think.
Yes.
What about the laws that get into the play of journalism? Like you got the citation law and the defamation law and the PPA and all this. How does that work? Do you feel that journalists are handcuffed because of these laws?
No, I don't think so. I think the laws apply to everyone. Journalists do not need any special protection, right? If you defame somebody, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Whether you're a journalist or you're a man in the street, you cannot defame people. If you break the law, you got no business being in journalism. So what laws are specifically talking about? The problem we have is the institutional laws, like the Printing Presses Act, where, the government still controls the issue of licenses and directive not to publish this and that. That is institutional. Right? But as an individual journalist, I don't think there are repressive laws. Right? You must stand up and test these laws.
Oh, that's a tough thing to do.
No, it's not tough. You stand your ground and say, this is what I wrote. These are the documents. Where did I go wrong? Now, what else? What will they have to answer?
Yeah.
If you remember, during the 1MDB issue, the front page of the Malay Mail is Najib : I will sue. Has he sued till now?
No.
No, at that thought, he thought that everybody is going to be frightened
Just
by...
scared us, right?
Yeah. But people stood up to him. He closed down the Age and the Age Financial Daily, suspended their license for 3 months. They came back stronger.
Right.
They won a civil suit against the suspension, right? And we all got to read about 1MDB.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Otherwise, if you had been cowed by those threats by Najib, 1MDB wouldn't have surfaced in Malaysia at all.
Yeah.
Because I think it's your duty.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
Your responsibility.
But we all know because mainstream news journalists, right? They are always like so scared,
No,
when
it's
they
not
talk about
scared.
this.
It is the editor who does not allow them to write what they want to do. Right? So
Okay.
unless
They are
you're an
being
editor,
controlled.
who puts his money where his mouth is and stands by you don't work as a journalist, right? I remember during not these elections, one of my reporters had got across to another newspaper, and she called me and said, "Nadis, I got a problem. I don't even recognize my story I wrote. They rewrote the story and put my name to it." And she was quite angry. And I said, "You can do one of those things. Walk away and go find another job. Or go and tell the editor, I don't want my name to it."
Yes.
Then she said, "Oh, we just got married. We are planning to start a family. Right? I don't have a job in hand." Say, if that case, you bite the bullet and wait. That is why editors are very important. This country is full of political appointees as editors of newspapers. So you actually try to think for the boss. If this is published, will the boss get angry or not? Right?
Yes.
But the boss may like it. But you are deciding for the boss.
That is, you've been an editor. Have you felt the need to change or modify a story because you know that there is the invisible hand that is at play?
No, you see, the only time I try to do something is if I find it defamatory,
Okay.
we may get into trouble for this. Okay, then I say send it to the lawyer to check.
Okay.
I'm not worried about the hidden hands and everything else.
Okay.
Because when I'm questioned, the documents are with me.
Okay.
I questioned the reporter. Where do you get this information? Who gave it to you? Do you have copies? Have you kept records of your phone calls and your conversations? Let me see your notebook. So I know exactly you followed the procedures.
Yes.
So there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Okay? In the case of PK, okay,
Yeah.
they had humongous documents with me. Right? So what could they do?
What is your take on the editors now?
I don't know. I've left mainstream now for 8-9 years now.
Okay.
I hear about them. I just have a good laugh, right? And say good luck to them.
Right.
Okay?
Do you feel that they have the capabilities of maybe your time? The
No, it's not the capabilities here anymore.
Right.
It's having the gall to stand up and say, we must publish this because it's a matter of public interest. Party interests and government interests that do not come in at all. So as long as you have editors who are subservient and say, yes, sir, 3 bags full, you're going to disappoint your readers. Hence, you see the drop in the readership and circulation of mainstream newspapers.
Yes. Speaking of circulation and readership, there is this influx of like TikTok and terms they use like content creators and citizen journalism. What is your take on this? Like more people are coming on board and reporting news. They call themselves journalists.
I always say these people are all either unemployed journalists or unemployable journalists. Right? They start this thing. Where do they get the facts? Where's their sourcing from? I don't believe 3/4 of what comes out. Last night I was listening to a TikTok video, and the guy is quoting things like he was not given adequate compensation and all that. This is on a SOXO case.
Okay.
And I asked myself, where did this guy get the information? Okay. No sourcing required, just name out. Right? So I am a discerning listener and follower of podcasts. But to the ordinary folk, you think, hey, this guy must be telling the truth. So these are the kind of people who should be pulled up for fake news. Not as journalists who check, double check, editors check, lawyers check before we publish. And we always have the thing called the right to reply. You don't try and reply to a blogger or one of those influencers. They reply you and dismiss you. Right? What legal recourse you want to sue them? You know who they are, number one.
Yeah.
You do not have their address, and then their servers are all overseas.
Yeah.
Right? So the whole process, it's an expensive process.
Talk about fake news, right? What is your perspective about anti-fake news that is passed in 2018, right? During the time, our then Prime Minister Najib Razak said it was to prevent false information. But some say it's to silence the voices on social media about 1MDB. So what is your perspective on this?
I was very much involved in this. I was anti the law. You see, some background that before this came up, the articles on 1MDB were appearing. First thing, Azalina, who was the law minister, said, we are going to impose life sentence for breach of Official Secrets Act.
Okay.
And weeping, right? They were trying to put the fear. It did not work. At that time, Najib had a majority, introduced a Fake News Act. It was aimed actually not at the TikTok fellows. It was aimed particularly at the media, people like us, the Age, the Malaysian Insider, Malaysia Kini, were publishing these articles, details of the 1MDB transactions. Amidst this, Najib had an interview or was interviewed by three so-called top journalists, editors, on TV3, where he came out smelling like a good bunch of roses. He had not done anything wrong. And nobody believed that interview. I sat back and watched it. I started poking holes in the questions. The questions were prepared.
Yeah.
So you don't call that journalism. You call that propaganda. And it didn't work. So they brought in the Fake News Act. It was very short-lived, which they never used on anyone. Right? So that is what I say. You stand up. I'm against. I'm all for registration of social media, so that social media platforms have a responsibility to ensuring content is accurate.
Yeah.
Right. Today you can say anything and just post it, and people start believing, and you're spreading false news and everything else. So I'm against such things. So I support registration of social media platforms. Okay? But I'm against any action by the state, a new law to control fake news. They can use Defamation Act. They can use the Multimedia Act.
Yeah.
Section 233
Yes.
is so wide and encompassing.
Yeah.
Any content that causes annoyance,
Yeah.
embarrassment, blah blah.
Seditious.
Forget the sedition. That MCMC Act alone is enough. But the problem we have is there's always selective persecution. Right? So if you don't like my face, I get persecuted. If I'm your friend, brother, carry on.
Yeah.
So that is the double standards that has led to this whole anger with people. Like this guy can say so much about royalty, race and religion. Oh, I utter one word, the others come after me. Questions are being raised. Why me? Why not him?
Right.
So as long as there's disparity in the application
Yes.
and enforcement of laws, can never sort this out.
Right. On a lighter note, I mean, you have done so many years in journalism. What is one story that you've written that is so memorable that sticks out in your mind?
Yes, I think this was in the 80s.
Okay.
I think some of you all were not born. There was a new school building
Okay.
built next to a wooden shed. The school was ready, the classrooms were ready, and bureaucracy caused a few things. There was no electricity supply to the next building, although the wires were all connected. The National Electricity Board at that time did not connect the wire to the new building.
Okay.
I published that story on page 1 of the Malay Mail. That time Malay Mail was a local paper,
Okay.
and pointed out that this is what's happening. And those days, Saturday used to be a half-day working day. On Saturday morning,
Okay.
electricity was connected to the new building.
Wow.
Right? That's my most memorable story, that I got results
Immediately.
But there have been written hundreds of stories for which there were no results, no response.
The self-satisfaction, right? Being a
Yeah,
journalist.
being a
Yes,
journalist, that
yes.
you've made some change.
some
Yes.
You've also been a crime reporter for many years. One case that sticks out, and I've read this before, the fact that you were in Petaling Street, I believe.
I was in the Klang bus station.
Okay.
With a handcuff dangling from my left hand.
Okay.
And I took a minibus those days to Masjid. I roamed around the streets of Kuala Lumpur for 2 hours. Nobody arrested me, nobody pounced on me.
Wow.
This was to show public apathy. So I worked with the late Inspector General of Police, and he sent 2 officers to follow me.
Okay.
And we had great pictures, and it worked.
Wow.
True enough, nobody bothered.
Yeah.
In a crowded minibus,
Wow.
my colleague was following me, Frankie De Cruz, told the bus driver to stop the bus. Let's drive into the driver's road police station.
Okay.
And we'll all jump on him. Nobody dead. Okay. So that shows public apathy.
You don't see that anymore. I mean, you don't.
There are poor imitations,
Right.
right? There have been poor imitations, like pretending you're a beggar and all that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work that way.
Wow, that was really interesting. But in your time as a journalist, has it desensitized you to news? With this repeated controversies or crimes and so on, has it desensitized you? Has it become numb?
No. You see, the thing is this. It becomes routine for you to go through it.
Right.
And then you look and say, what's so different from the other?
Yeah.
Then we talk to the crime reporter, he will tell you a story.
Yeah.
This one happened this way. The police don't want to put it that way. So why you are listening to the police? You are listening to me or the police? So there are new facts may emerge, new methods used. At that time, we did not have these cyber crimes and scammers on handphones and all that. Now, every day, the scammers are getting innovative,
Yes.
right? I watched videos on how scammers are being busted
Yes.
in India, in Australia, and in Laos and Cambodia. And you see a new pattern emerging. So you must be always keep yourself updated on this. Nothing is new in crime.
Okay, so you've mentioned undercover. You've gone undercover before.
Yeah.
Have you done that a lot before?
Long before I became famous. Now I can't go undercover. I get recognized. Sometimes I go to the restaurant, have my meal. Somebody said, your lunch already paid. With a note there. Thank you very much for saving Malaysia.
Wow.
So it happened. So people recognize me now.
Right.
I post for selfies in supermarket. I sign autographs and all that.
Voices.
But so always send fresh pieces.
Right.
Not exactly. The last I did, but 10 years ago,
Okay.
corrupt council officer
Okay.
wanted her to look at inside the house because all renovated with corrupt money. So I got one of my young reporters to go and deliver a bouquet of flowers.
Okay.
I look around, take all the details, and come back. So the young reporter came back and said, "Boss, itu macam film Hindustan." So I asked, "What's that?" No, the tangga, there are 2 stairs of staircase with a balcony in the center.
I remember that.
So you send people unknown faces. Like me, I walk around, everybody recognizes me.
Right. But in your earlier days, did you do a lot of?
Yes, I did a lot of work. I went and bought police uniforms,
Wow.
bought handcuffs.
Oh my goodness.
So so it helps, but take precautions. Always have somebody stand by,
Right.
follow you or shadowing you, so that you don't. The moment you get into trouble, there's rescue at work.
How would you look at ethical considerations and undercover? How do you see this ethical balance there?
No, this undercover is very wide, right? Ethics are very contained. Okay, I wouldn't touch the family. If I'm writing about a politician, his family is his private business, right? I think it's unfair to touch on the family, right? Things as long as he's a private person, I don't bother. The moment you become a public figure, I want to check you out thoroughly. That's the issue. Ethical, it's unlawful and ethical to tap telephones, right? But now you go online, you can order all kind of gadgets, right? I have done recordings with a pen camera, with a pair of glasses, right? Yes, then for your own purpose to protect yourself, right? In case issues come up.
Okay.
But other than that, you don't put it on Facebook or TikTok or like that. So these are some of the ethical considerations. Whether we are recording a telephone conversation, whether the other party knows it's being recorded. Okay. If you tell the other party this phone call is being recorded, then you can maybe produce evidence. Then if you do not tell him, it may say this phone call was recorded surreptitiously. So that becomes a problem, right? Going undercover, you go as a job hunter to check whether the salaries offered are lower than market rates or workers are being exploited. You're perfectly free to do so. I worked in a warehouse for 2 weeks. Nobody knew who I was at that time, right? We were told was something sinister happening there.
Okay.
At that time, how to carry camera inside? There were no fine phones.
Yeah.
So you can't even take notes there. Put it here. Break time, subscribe in your small 35 buku. Put the time. So you do all this. So I think that's perfectly normal as long as you don't break the law, right? You don't enter people's house uninvited,
Yeah.
right? You can sit on the top of a tree. I've done it before the KL hospital. They were stealing food from the patients. Okay, so we've done it before. So you ask long until we did it. So these are some of the ethical things that you do. Don't break the law. Most important, don't break the law.
Okay.
So what is your main purpose or value that you want to share with us regarding, revealing political scandals? Like, is it like, does it help to raise awareness or not?
I think there's no such thing as political scandal, non-political scandal. A scandal is a scandal, right? If you are a politician, you must be cleaner than white. You can't have closets in your skeletons in
your closet, yeah.
In your closet. So you're going to be a leader, and if you have done something wrong in the past, either you come clean or say, let me stay out of it. Okay? So for me, the most important thing is the public have a right to know.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Some people say it's private life. It's private life, stay private. Don't come into the public. Right?
They are public figure, right?
Public figure. Huh? Number two, I want to know how you're spending my money. At the end of it all, it's taxpayers' money. Right? Your salary comes from my tax.
Yeah.
I want to know whether I'm getting quality or value for my money.
Yes.
If my money is being paid to a 6:30 minister, I don't want him. I have to question every decision he makes.
Yes. Coming back to your time as a journalist, as an editor.
I'm not retired yet.
Yeah, but you've done so many things over the decades. And over these decades, you've seen many prime ministers,
Yeah.
many inspector general of police.
Yeah.
Do you see a positive change? The kind of changes that you've seen? What is? Has there been good changes or bad changes or what?
No, you see the things. You tell yourself the next fellow will be better than the other one.
Yeah.
Then you just say, come on, man, this fellow is no better than the other, getting worse.
Right.
So it's a whole cycle, right? I'm not an idealist.
Yeah.
Okay. But you expect something when you sell yourself clean government.
Yeah.
I expect you to be clean,
Yes.
right? I don't have to question every decision. But there are major decisions you have made which is flawed. It's for self-interest.
Yes.
So I have to question you. Why do you do this? Right? Why do you make the promises? So, am I wrong in questioning you about the promises you made? You never kept? can I question you on your extravagant spending? Right? So that's a duty of a journalist to ask these questions and get answers.
But I'm curious about the comparison. Like for instance, maybe 30 years ago and now, do you find being a journalist more difficult, especially getting information?
You see, it's easier now.
Right.
You got internet access.
Yeah. But access to the source.
No, the point is now you can send out an email.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
Those days you send letters, send fax, send telex.
WhatsApp.
Right? Waiting for your extension in the office, waiting for a return call. Now, handphone,
Now WhatsApp.
instantaneous communication. It's easier. But these tools must be used properly. Okay? You like SMS, WhatsApp messages or SMS. You can send a note to the head of a department, right? And say, sir, we have received this information. Could you give me an appointment to talk to you? Always give him an opportunity to talk. If he does not, all you write when you finish your story, refuse to comment. And that's it. I always believe that the other side should be given an opportunity. But if you don't take the opportunity, it's your loss.
How do you perceive balanced reporting?
Balance is simple, giving both sides.
Yeah.
But if one side doesn't want to talk, what do you do? Right?
So how do you ensure? Because usually, sometimes, when it comes to this kind of issues, like sensitive issues, authority, they won't give you anything.
Let me remind you.
Yep.
Often ministers take us to be idiots, journalists to be idiots. Oh, I was misquoted. What? The tape recording was misquoted. Oh, my remarks were misinterpreted. How? Tell me how? You know they're going to be misinterpreted. Why don't you interpret it properly for the reporter? Right? They take us to be fools and everybody would laugh. Oh, reporter bodoh lah. So I raised this question with then Attorney General Apandiali. Asked him in a public forum like this, I asked, sir, what recourse do journalists have? Because he's defaming us by claiming that we misunderstood.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He said, sue them.
Ah.
You see? This is the problem. This is the dilemma the journalist faces. When they're in a corner, sorry, I was misquoted, they misinterpreted my remarks, and go on and on. So you stand up to them and said, no, here I got the copy of the recording, these are my notes.
Evidence.
You said it. But how many editors allow the reporter to say it?
Yep. Have you seen an evolving media landscape in Malaysia? Like from the beginning and now? Has it evolved?
The only way it evolved is social media, influencers and everything else. The print, traditional media, print or electronic, is more or less stagnant, if not been lowered. The standards have been lowered. Okay. Just to tell you, government TV station has only 45,000 viewers. How do you believe? So you know the level of confidence people have in government TV stations. So this is the problem. How are you going to build your credibility? Right? I always say, I used to tell my reporters, write for your readers. Right? Reporters will stand with me when, what do you mean by this? Translate. Said, if I can't understand what you're writing, how do you expect the readers to understand?
Yeah.
Right? Many years ago, the owner of the newspaper I used to work for called me and tell me about what to write and what not to write. I told him, sir, you are like the owner of the restaurant. I'm the chef. I know what the patrons want.
Yes.
I cook food they would like to eat.
Yes.
They don't like to eat what you would like to eat.
Yeah.
So give me the choice of to serve our patrons. Otherwise, you have to close the restaurant. So see, as long as editors, owners are convinced, right? Look at all the government mainstream newspapers.
Yes.
Either closed, readership has dropped. It's because of this menu I'm talking about.
Okay. What is your advice for young people who want to be journalists?
First thing is read. Those days, I had to wait for the office boy to clear all newspapers, English newspapers, the Daily Mail, Mirror, Times, which editors get airflow.
Okay.
Every week they have to take and throw away the lot. I take the whole lot to the house and I start reading.
Wow.
There was no internet,
Yeah.
right? So the only source of foreign news, English ideas, story ideas from there, come from reading.
Yeah.
Now, in front of you, internet.
Yeah.
See, the sad part is our journalists are not willing to invest $10 a month in buying or subscribing for Malaysia Kini or Singapore Trade Times $1 a week. Why aren't you investing in it? If you don't read, you're not going to understand the issues.
Right.
Where do you get the information from? Social media. Reliable? No.
Yeah.
So, if you want to improve, you got to start reading authoritative articles, right? I don't know how many of them, but if you look at my phone, the ads on the top are all the newspapers, Daily Mail, Independent, right? BBC News. It goes on. So I'm on the ball. So I'm being a semi-retired person. If I'm on the ball, if you're an aspiring journalist or want to be a journalist, you should be on the ball.
Right.
So my attitude is very simple. Read, and read. No need all this passion and all this, right? I remember asking a young lady why you want to become a journalist.
Okay.
No, I get free ticket to watch concert, right? And get go fashion show.
Yeah.
We come with that mindset. It's not going to work. Okay.
Right.
So the second thing is plan your work.
Okay.
Plan your questions, prepare yourself, right? Make yourself credible
Right.
by asking intelligent questions.
Yep.
People listening to the press conference, forget, not bad, a young fellow, smart questions, good questions he has asked. So people believe, trust in you. It goes on. If you're going to sit back and hold a handphone and get answers, look at it all, handphone telling the journalists. I call them handphone journalists these days.
Okay, now that is for the young, upcoming journalist. What about the journalist who's already a journalist? The person who's already a journalist. What would you tell them?
I just stand up to authority. Write what is needed to be written. And as long as it's truthful, what are you worried about? You got to argue with the editor. And I know I am one person who believes the editor has a final say, right? But the editor says no, I want to know why. So the reason is very simple. I want to know why the article cannot be published, right? I've explained to my reporters on a very important thing. There was this again in the 80s,
Yeah.
who drowned in a reservoir. So my colleague Frankie de Cruz went around reservoirs, and everybody was, pens was cut and everything else.
Okay.
So he came back and started the story. We sat together. He said, "We could have poisoned half of Kuala Lumpur yesterday. There was no security, blah blah." The news editor came and said, "Nope, it won't work." We asked, he said, "We are giving ideas to terrorists. Does it make sense to you?" It made sense to me. If I'm a troublemaker,
Yeah.
hey,
This is a perfect way.
So I understood. But if I don't ask and you don't tell me, I will say useless editor, right? Simply go and censor my articles. So unless you ask,
Yeah.
you're not going to get answers.
Right.
Yeah. It's very important to ask.
Yeah.
And we truly need more journalists like you to help us uphold and practice better democracy in the country.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And time flown by when we are wrapping up today's episodes, and we have uncovered some pretty big issues around reporting on corruptions. And we hope that it given you a new appreciation for what investigative journalists go through. It's not an easy task at all, right? It requires passion, and skills
And hard work. Don't forget hard work.
and actually salute what they have accomplished. So if you like these episodes, don't forget to share it with friends. And big thanks to Nadis for sharing his insight with us, and of course for all of you who spend your time. Thanks for your support. Special thanks to International Federation of Journalists, IFJ, and European Commissions for sponsoring these sessions. And hope to see you all in the next sessions. Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.